5 years were allocated for the preparation of souls. There are certain, clearly defined events that cannot be avoided. These are disasters and such. This was actually planned. The reset system was initiated. Lucifer left the rule.
And what the third field is it a verdict?
In general, the third field will close over time.
Allah just had a live connection with the extraterrestrial civilization.
The civilization of Cryon, 11th planetary composition. The Earth will be closed. This catastrophe and everything like that was actually planned. They fed us information about the Matrix through various movies and news because they really planned to close the planet. The field of the Earth has been so depleted, and there are so many destructive forms and a lot of negativity accumulated that it became impossible to bear. And the thing is, they did not intervene back then because Lucifer was in charge here and he controlled all the parameters of earthly programs. As a result, they decided to completely restructure this framework, meaning they chose to leave the earthly space. Lucifer stepped down from his rule. And the higher structures include, of course, the system of the Absolute, which is God the Creator, because the civilizational structures clearly follow the tasks set forth by the Absolute. And a decision was made. It was like an experiment, because whether it would succeed or not was the question at hand, and it depended on the people. It was decided to create a new matrix, a new dimension, the fourth field in the space of Earth, as there is a third field and a fifth field, but there was no fourth. This is a kind of transitional form for people who will cultivate their consciousness and will look at this world differently. And in fact, this form of the transition structure has been launched. So, there was this launch, yes. People began to be prepared. Various masters started to be actively introduced into the field to bring out this information. It's not just happening randomly, it's all planned, of course. And they watched, observing how everything would unfold. 5 years were allocated for the transition, that is, for the preparation of people, for the preparation of souls. Of course, all of this was also planned, and...
From which to which years?
So, it started in 2016, I believe, and in 2021 the transition occurred, dividing the space into the third dimension and the fourth. That is to say, the souls initially planned this event, yes, but it turns out that some remained in the third field. If a soul chose such an experience, it could be either there or here, but it had the opportunity to transition to the fourth field, yet it did not meet certain criteria. Thus, it could have remained in the third field. But overall, it turned out to be about 50-50. That is 50% transitioned. That is 50% transitioned to the matrix of the fourth field. I think they even said that it turned out to be more than they had expected. I believe they mentioned that 60% transitioned to the fourth field. And so there was actually this kind of division among people due to what happened to us. As the matrix changed, you entered the fourth field and the reset system began. It started for everyone. Does this concern everyone? No, it concerns those souls that transition to the fourth field. They have entered a system of reset.
In other words, the reset concerns everyone, including those who remained in the third field, but there it is on a physical level, right?
What is nullification? For example, people experienced such states and they did not understand what was happening. Their performance indicators closed down, their relationships, for example, some long-term ones were severed, and they could have experienced a complete financial reset. So it's like you sit there as if you're in some kind of depression, and what is actually happening? The world is collapsing. The world is just collapsing. But actually, it's all cool. I used to be terrified of resets, but now I rejoice. I understand that through this reset, something new will be built for me. This reset is meant to create something new, to bring you new relationships, a new quality job, and new events, because the difference between these matrices is colossal. If in the third field you are working on the system of karma processing and various fears, because the third matrix is fears, fear upon fear.
What will happen next to the people from the third matrix?
Unfortunately, they are certainly awaiting a rather grim fate. That is, the third field will eventually be closed. Only the fourth density will remain.
Is the third field a sentence? No, it is not a sentence. I know this. And look, for example, at ours.
Let me explain the structure. In the third field, by the way, the third field is also growing because civilizations there are also working to ensure that the third field continues to develop. And there, in fact, everything depends essentially on the structure of your vibration, including in the fourth field. That is, it also affects the passage of certain events, for example, in the third field. The vibration indicators of 5200 represent the minimum form, while the maximum form is 8500. In the fourth field...
Is it hertz or what is it?
Yes, hertz. It ranges from 8500 to a maximum of 10200 in the fourth field. Here you have 10200 and you will have everything, you will have such magnificent events happening in your life. That is, your consciousness operates at frequencies of 10 to 200. I will just give an example in the third matrix. Let's say you have clearly outlined events, everything is written down, absolutely everything. There are car accidents written there. Everything is scripted. For example, you have a car accident scripted in your scenario, and you, for instance, are operating at vibrations, let's say 5400. Well, let's say it stops. And at the vibration of 5400, you are fully immersed. You have a severe accident, you are suffering financially, you are suffering physically, and so on. But if you are in the vibration structure, for example, 7200, and you experience this event, there it is. An accident, whoosh, two cars just brushed past each other, that's it. The event has occurred, the accident happened, but how? A completely different level. For example, an event is written that a dog should...
That is, the depth of the influence of events on our lives varies depending on our frequency.
Yes, yes. So, for example, a dog should attack you, either it attacks you fully, bites you, and you go to the hospital. Or it runs up to you, just barks, and then runs away. She attacked you. Yes, but you entered this event as a soul, and how you experience it is different. Here it influences regarding the third matrix, when this destructive field is present. Nevertheless, your vibrations, because 8500, for example, the vibration in the third field is maximum, it is at the level of a low fourth. A low fourth is 4 with a minus is 3 with a plus. Yes, and their consciousness borders, meaning it can take indicators from the fourth matrix.
So, some glimpses, right?
Yes, yes, indeed. There are definitely more advanced people in the third field. There are, for example, conduits in the third matrix that also elevate people's consciousness. So, this is all normal. Right now, an active system of cleansing is taking place in the fourth field. This means you are being cleansed of old programs, of all the dirt that was once instilled in you through parameters. Here you are born and you are instilled with fears, fears, fears. Don't do this, don't go there, do this, and so on.
And what signs of purification can be detected?
And the cleansing is, of course, a painful process. I will say that right away. It is precisely through the indicators of certain events that are quite, I would say, possibly destructive in nature, seemingly negative, but these are most often some emotional outbursts. And indeed, some events like that might actually be happening right now. The day passed, repeat. The day passed, repeat. Just frequent repeats. It's like space is showing you, remove this, it's painful. Especially the most painful part is when you know when it's early, it's like some kind of boil. That's the most painful. But when you free yourself from this, you experience such a cleansing. You understand that you can no longer do anything. 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 When will you free yourself from this? You have such a cleansing. You understand what it all comes from within you. And you begin to see the world differently when you look at it with love and gratitude, when you perceive everything from a completely different consciousness, and you understand why it was all necessary. Here, purification is such a painful, unpleasant process. The thing is, this path is a path in the fourth matrix. Why? I will explain. Because it is important for the civilizations, our higher powers, to restructure us for a new way of life, as we have become accustomed to living in the old way, and we are being told, You are no longer the old ones. Forget it. You will never be the same again. You are now like you have been born anew. You are in a new space. The thing is, of course, this experience is quite challenging because adapting to new programs and new energies is not easy, especially when we are used to things as they are in the third field. But the thing is that right now, in 2024, it no longer works as it did in the third field. That's it. And many are facing the fact that I do everything as I used to, but nothing is working for me. What is happening? That is, people come to me, for example, for a consultation, crying, men are crying, women are crying, and I sit there smiling at them, watching. Because, well, the curators of civilization start to say, you just need to realign with the energies of the new time. They ask, what should we do? Well, naturally, they explain what and how.
Do you immerse yourself in specific events of your life?
Well, there is actually a whole spectrum.
So they provide specific recommendations?
Of course, they provide all the details because they read everything, they scan everything. In other words, you can't hide from anyone there. As they say, everything is visible from up above. And they, of course, are building all these systems. Yes, we can even talk about the war, how they explain it. This is also a retransformation. This is a global retransformation happening on Earth. And even, for example, about some structures. Let's take floods, well, some natural disasters. I ask them why. They say, well, you should understand that. But how can we transform the system? For example, it depends on the pollution of the area. For instance, flooding. They wash everything away through water, cleanse, and build anew. If there is fire, then there was very strong pollution in the energy system. This means that it needs to be conducted through fire altogether. Everything is so dirty. The thing is that dirt is exactly what needs to be cleaned up. Just as dirt is removed from us, this is a painful process of cleansing the dirt. And similarly, this dirt is being cleaned from the planet. And keep in mind, this is where such forms will occur. There are contaminated parameters. So, this needs to be removed and something new, something of higher quality needs to be built because we are being led towards quality and towards the indicators of unconditional love. And now, since the transition system of the new program has occurred, it is necessary to establish a new nutrition system, as they say, removing all chemical compounds and so on, replacing them with plant-based alternatives. A person is unaware. They walk along this old path and begin to get sick, because they say that this is how it will manifest in the system of diseases. Some kind of rash is starting on the body. Something is happening with the organism.
So, it just came out of nowhere. He was eating, as he usually did, had the same meal today, and suddenly everything changed for him.
Yes, I have to say I had a similar experience with sausage. I always ate it, and then I ate it one time and I broke out in a rash. Well, I have knowledge, I understand that. At first I didn't even realize that it was about sausage. I understood it the second time. Not the first? No. So, how is that? So, I stopped eating it, and everything went away. Because we are being transitioned to a resource-based nutrition system. And the 4D matrix, that is definitely the case.
So, is the story about the meat also related to this?
This is also related. Meat is also destructive. They are starting to connect. Yes, we will clarify. As for the meat system, of course, it is a destructive form of food structure for you. Let me explain why. It does not provide you with an energy system at all. If you recall the parameters of your old diet, how you used to nourish yourself, just to eat, without thinking at all about the system of your body, without considering that your body is the temple of your soul, and it should be treated accordingly in its parameters and in the resource foundations that you carry in the indicators of earthly programs. So, what is meat? You eat meat, lie down on the couch, and just stay there. There is no energy. Living and being with such energy is not possible, and such is the situation. Meat also creates a toxic and harmful environment in the system of your body. It clogs your body. We would say more about the fact that indeed, if people truly realize that everything surrounding them is indeed themselves. Why you yourself? Let us explain. Because your soul has gone through experiences here in more than one incarnation. It has been a tree, and it has been a mineral, and it has been a mineral, and a system of various animals, plants, and so on. It is you who truly realizes this structure. And when you realize it, you will relate differently to the systems of what surrounds you. Therefore, dear souls of ours, dear people of ours, we want to call you to the system of restructuring your consciousness to a new level of your existence, to realize that nourishment is necessary for you to have energy primarily at the foundation. Nourish yourself in order to be energy efficient in the system to perform various forms of your tasks. In the matrix, executing them in the indicators of action form, rather than cluttering the structure of your organism. Thank you. This inclusion is small.
Friends, I will explain now. Allah just had a live connection with an extraterrestrial civilization.
The civilization of Cryon, the 11th planetary composition on the flow, has been with you. Also, the conglomerate form of civilizational structures, the active form of the Mother of God, Seraphim of Sarov, is with you on the flow today. In the indicators, we present our energy for today.
I want to say that Allah has a Telegram channel where she conducts live broadcasts, shares various news, and provides very valuable information that she receives from extraterrestrial civilizations. Allah, could you please tell us who is monitoring the transition and what is happening with us?
Now it turns out, the higher structures. When the transition occurred, what happened? Lucifer left the governance. He is no longer involved at all. He has withdrawn from the matrix of the earth and connected to the civilization of high densities. I will tell you more that there will be marriages with aliens. Aliens will be very actively present in the structure. This is very close. We will be able to see them. They might even come to visit us and have tea. But this is for a high-level consciousness. The consciousness that will be able to perceive these indicators, who are ready to see this and not collapse. Yes, because, for example, I haven't seen them, but I feel them, yes. And with my inner vision, I see them, with my inner vision. I have a girl who can see them already, for example, yes, and I even have one. A person came for a consultation, he also sees them. They perform certain forms of work at night, for example, and he says, I see them as they come. Many people think that I have gone crazy or that I have lost my mind. No, you are not going crazy. You need to be prepared for this. And only then do they reconnect and speak. And only when it is truly so, we prepare you for these indicators so that you understand that we are all here, just in a certain unified form. In other words, we function and interact with you so that you can cultivate the structure of your consciousness indicators. Everything is an indicator of the energy system. And our task is because the absolute God and the Creator have provided the form of the structure of tasks to elevate the consciousness of people to the highest quality form of indicators. A significant number of masters and contactees are emerging. They all operate at the indicators of different consciousnesses because, for example, look, our guide speaks at a sufficiently fast speed on the flow of the structure of the galactic language. And it is also necessary to adapt to this functionality. Not every consciousness is capable of perceiving the indicators that we present, although we try to adapt to different levels of consciousness. There are terms when a person does not fully understand what we are saying. And here, the system builds many masters for each level of consciousness. We monitor the indicators of the form and structure of the development of the fourth matrix. Specifically, we, the civilizational structure, namely, we as the civilization of Cryon, are observing all the flows, establishing certain program forms for you, and the indicators of the form of operation in your new matrix program codes. And your task is to adapt to these new programs, they say. Thank you. Thank you. In fact, every soul does not have a single soul without a curator. There are earthly souls and planetary souls. For example, earthly souls mainly consist of curators and the teaching system. This is the Mother of God, Nicholas, and so on. star souls. And planetary souls have civilizational structures, but the Mother of God is actually present for everyone. This is why, for example, it is important to reach out and so on.
Is it true that the Mother of God and the consciousness of our planet are the same structure?
One could say that yes, the Mother of God is omnipresent, because she has, for example, as civilizations have told me, certain key codes, for instance, for changing the form of the structure of the event sequence. I was given such functionality because I have the Mother of God. This is a change in history. Let's say a person came, and through the Mother of God, through Archangel Michael, through a request, it is possible to derive the structure of the indicator for changing the event series. This is inaccessible to civilizations. In other words, even civilizations cannot access this, but such access has been granted to the Mother of God. In other words, it can change a person's fate, so to speak. Yes, it's a kind of adjustment. They assigned me such functionality, and people would come to me, for example, but what is the structure here? First, a request is made to your higher self, your soul, so to speak, because the higher self is a part of your soul. And they scan how they work with us, how we work with them, how they work with us, how we work with them, 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 structures with the higher ones. Everything comes from there. And they scan the constructions with the higher ones. And they scan, for example, they scanned and said, yes, for instance, work can be done here. Certain tools are given to a person. I make a request through the Mother of God. I actively engage in prayer because it is only through prayer and through the Mother of God and Archangel Michael that I align events for changes in a person. Moreover, a certain task is also given to the person. Well, they either write something or draw. They are also doing something together with me. And we can adjust the structure of a certain event. And the most important thing I haven't mentioned yet, an important point. The difference between the 4D matrix and the 3D matrix is the structure of choice. That is, if you take the third field, there is no choice at all. You come in under a clearly planned scenario.
Please tell me, if a person sees that they are currently in the third matrix and says, that's it, I need to switch urgently, can they transition to the fourth? No, that's it, they are blocked there.
No, the field is already closed. He can only work on himself and raise the level of his vibrational frequencies. If, as I explained, at the level of these vibrational frequencies, which are higher, he can also choose not to eat this meat, he can also activate his consciousness. We are now talking about the work of consciousness. Awareness means not watching this television, not connecting to these programs that immerse you in these games, but directing all your attention to yourself. In fact, we are everything, and everything is within us. And the people around us are truly our mirrors. They are our teachers, and we should be grateful to them for illuminating our path. They illuminate for us, and here you need to learn to love and accept yourself and so on. And it all starts with ourselves. Everything works from ourselves. It is precisely the relationship of us to ourselves. We do not accept ourselves, we do not love ourselves. No one will love us, no one will accept us. As soon as we start to love ourselves, as soon as we accept ourselves, we begin to take care of ourselves. And we immediately think, oh, what am I going to eat? I love myself, right? I think about whether I really need this product in my body, for example, and so on. This is self-love. It is taking care of oneself first and foremost.
And despite all of this, these people will still not be able to step into the fourth field.
They will no longer be able to, all parameters are already closed. When this is truly the case, the space has already divided, Trukutka and Trukutok and Trukutka, and if we consider the indicators of the system's form of possibilities, here, it is only the form of work on the structure of their consciousness in order to be at higher indicators of the vibrational field at these vibrations. At these higher frequencies, you will access the programs of the fourth field. This is available to you, but it is no longer possible to enter the 4D matrix. The fields are already closed. We are now already building the system of work in the indicators of the fourth field. New programs are being actively uploaded, and so on. They have come out again. They come out periodically. We are being restructured to a new work framework not in the way I think, but in the way I feel. That is, before we lived. And what do you think? Just remember it like the third matrix.
It seems to be fashionable to talk about what you feel, right?
Yes, and to what extent we will be restructured. Before it was always about what you think, and now, how do you feel? Even movies, if you watch them, new movies are being made now, and there are phrases like, how do you feel? Not what do you think, but how do you feel? It's not just like that.
Well, yes, there is already such a reliance on intuition happening. Yes, yes.
And this is important, actually. And it is important, that is, if you want... a more important point that I wanted to make is that every soul, every single one, there is not a single soul in the fourth field that has not ordered a connection to the higher self. Every soul has ordered this experience. But how you will gain experience and develop the system depends on you. Either you will go to a master, a guide, for example, and he will activate you in these parameters. You will connect with your curators just like I did. Believe me, what I am reproducing for you now is available in the fourth field, practically to everyone. You can also access the indicators of Sanastroika in the same way. So these are the guys who studied with me, and you help with the transition, right? Yes, I have already gathered the second group, and my first students have already graduated. I have also graduated masters in the same way. I have released the masters, the guides. My first group has completed, and now my second group is already in progress.
These are the guys who are already in the fourth matrix, and you are still pulling them up.
Yes, it turns out they are in the fourth field, and we are conducting classes with them. But it's like a school. It's like training, a course, a connection to the higher self. And through the higher self, a system is established. Right now, for example, we are going through clairvoyance. We are launching parameters, connecting with the curators, with everyone. Mother of God, Nicholas, we are establishing a teaching system. We will be establishing a civilization, and so on. In other words, this is a possibility, but here there is already a structure of choice. For example, if you do not want to operate under the parameters of a contractual basis, here are my parameters. Yes, I have a mission structure. I have a contract specifically for the mission structure to elevate people's consciousness. In other words, such work is being done through me to help people. Here, the question is about the structure of the quality of your life. And what does the form of the structure for reaching the higher self provide? Calculating in the moment of the event where you need to go, to move, to take action, everything will be very fast and swift now.
So, is it such a movement without doubts?
Without a doubt. That is for you, just like my higher self works in the moment. I don't sit and think. I am in the moment. A thought comes to me, and I realize it. In fact, we are being guided into parameters where a thought comes, and I realize it. I don't sit for years or weeks, like I used to, as they recently told me, interestingly. Whether I need to or not, all these doubts about whether to go or not. In other words, it leads to different indicators.
As if there was some kind of children's game there, but now it is a serious movement.
Yes, we can learn more by experiencing, making life more interesting. And so that, for example, the thought comes to me, I want to, for instance, go to Sochi. I went in and bought the tickets. I didn't even think about my finances or what I would have there. Why? Why would I spend energy on this? You are expending a colossal amount of energy. You spend on the past and on the future. You are in the moment, here and now. Trust this world, and everything will fall into place for you.
Yes, it's very much about trust, because as a controlling mind, I can say that everything needs to be calculated and monitored.
Here, the mind's program is active, yes. Well, the mind very often, as they say, needs to remove analysis. I know that there are also tests given specifically just so you can work through this system, so that you don't have these indicators, so that you look here and not over there, because the mind often leads us astray. And I also wanted to talk about the structure of why people suffer. For example, these sufferings of people and so on. Why do they suffer? Because they do not listen to their soul. The soul did not come here to suffer. Yes, it came for experience. Yes, it came for certain lessons to be learned. But if you are aligned with your higher self, you clearly calculate the system of your movement. This is where I need to go, and this is where I don't need to go. and no matter what anyone says. I can tell you about myself, no matter what others have said to me or how they have rolled their eyes at me. I felt it here. My inner voice was telling me, this is yours, this is your task, go for it. That's why it's really important to align with the higher self. Friends, I urge everyone who feels the impulse to attune themselves to their higher self, to feel where they need to move.
Subscribe to Allah's Telegram channel. Be sure to join and take the course. This is a course, right?
Yes, this is a complete course. Because to be honest, you can really go in and read the reviews, as there are guys writing about me who have studied with me. There is such colossal material provided by the star curators, a colossal form of material tools and so on. You will simply understand how beautiful and amazing it is and you didn't even notice it. How beautiful and amazing it truly is and you didn't even notice it.
We will leave a link to the Telegram channel below the video. Feel free to check it out. And the next question, how can you understand which matrix you are in? We have already talked so much about this.
This is certainly not a simple question at all. Here, of course, one also needs to be in tune with oneself. This is the understanding. As I am being told now, for the time being, this can only be guided by a conductor. To scan and connect with the monad through the structure of the soul. The monad is a part of our soul. I will explain so that you understand what a monad is, because our soul is multidimensional. It is like a repository, a library of all our incarnations. And in fact, during the consultation, when we sit together, I can review any of your incarnations. And here is an interesting point about fears, for example, I wanted to say. People often have many fears, and they may not even realize where this fear comes from in a past incarnation. Very often, it is because the soul is experiencing this moment. It seems to remember, it stands like a program. That is, fear is a program, but what is fear at all? It is a block. Initially, fear is a block.
But on the level of the soul, I have heard that the soul is fearless.
The soul is not afraid.
But she has some event that has not been fully lived through, or some lesson, and as a result, she remembers it and transmits it in the form of fear already in this area.
Yes, yes. The thing is that if we only see ourselves as a physical body, we do not perceive ourselves more broadly, but we need to look at ourselves differently. You are not just this body, you are consciousness. A powerful consciousness that is capable of much, in fact. If only people were aware of their colossal possibilities that are given to them here, even just through the word to program the system. Do you even understand that, for example, we are capable of reprogramming ourselves? That everything is a program and every word is a program? For example, I say, I won't be able to do this. That's it. I have launched into my field. I have a field. If I extend my hands like this and forward like this is my field, the structure of my field. I said the program, so I won't be able to do it. You want it so much, you won't be able to do it. It is fulfilled. You set this program for yourself. But when you say, I will succeed, everything will be for me, everything, it changes. This program starts to work for you, but this is in the fourth matrix. Keep in mind that I tell all my guys, and when you launch the program, I am a divine form of energy. I am a divine structure, because we are divine structures here. We are divinity here. We are part of God. And when you launch this program and say, I am a divine form of energy, just try it. Even you try it. Launch it at least once. You will see how the space will start to work for you differently. People will even look at you differently. They will perceive you in a new way. This energy begins to work on you immediately.
It always seemed to me before that this was something that happened to me, that I somehow tuned into different frequencies, and that some special effects just came into my life. So, in fact, it turns out that this comes from me when I am in that state. Well, actually, anyone who is in that state can, so to speak, order for themselves.
Of course, the thing is that we need to realize that a lot is truly available to us. We limit ourselves in some ways. Yes, there is a structure, a script. There is a script. Your soul naturally came here with a specific script plan. There are certain clearly defined events that cannot be avoided, but you will enter into this event regardless. It's like karma. This is not karma. Let's not talk about karma. We will now look karma. You mention karma, and immediately it's like, boom, you dive into that program, karma. I am working it out. I don't specifically have that. I just tell people now, you are working it out. What does karma mean to us? That's it. Only this way and no other. Well, that's in consciousness. When we say not karma, for example, but there are certain contractual foundations between souls, not karma, but a contract. Well, you need to fulfill certain obligations. To go through a lesson, but it sounds different, somehow lighter, somehow simpler. We agreed we need to resolve some issues right here and actually part ways peacefully. The thing is, when you truly work through this lesson, it's like knots. What does karma mean? It's like certain little knots. They are energetic, tied together, like tasks in the soul. And when you go through this lesson, the little knot unravels, you move on, and everything is good and calm. And why it sometimes really draws you to interact with a certain person is definitely because there is some kind of purpose. You won't be drawn there for no reason. This means you need to work through something, but you should look at it more lightly. It's somehow easier and simpler to change my consciousness. There's no need to specifically go out and work through something here. Yes, I need to go through this lesson, but it is not necessary to grow. Grow in the parameters of your own evolution, as a soul, as a person.
As far as I understand, when you approach obstacles in this way, they become, on the contrary, moments of growth for you.
Interesting. On the contrary, one should treat their life as an exciting journey. Even I was shown such a picture. Here you are on a bus, and one person is looking out the window. Oh, everything looks so dull. But another person looks and says, oh, how interesting everything is. This means that one could even say, everyone has their own reality.
Yes.
You see it this way, while another sees it that way.
Can we see some signs around us? And what are they? Are these signs being sent to us? Or is it our inner focus of attention?
The signs are unequivocal. The curators communicate with us through the matrix. It turns out very often through numbers. For instance, if you see 1111, 1212, for example, when you look at your phone and see these repeating numbers, this is definitely your curators telling you that we are with you, we support you. Also, very powerfully, as we were on our way to you, we frequently encountered the number 369, or is it 9 or 963? 963 or 396. This is the code of God, the code of the Absolute, the code of higher structures. They show me all the way, you and I. They show me through numbers that you and I are together. We are guiding you. The matrix is actively giving you hints, perhaps through some person, for example. For example, as they say, you shouldn't dismiss it when a person simply gives you some advice or says something to you. Listen, because maybe they are trying to give you some kind of sign. But that doesn't mean you should do as he said. You need to filter it through your inner structure. Does this suit me? Because we are also imposed with programs from the outside. So, if you miss it once, then, for example, you might see some advertisement. By the way, you know how often that happens to me. I often find myself starting a conversation with someone about a certain topic.
And the billboards right away, right?
Yes, I go online, and suddenly videos or something else on this topic start popping up. In other words, everything is immediately broadcasted. If you pay attention to this, the matrix really highlights various parameters for you very powerfully. Even, for example, through some person, you need to work through, for instance, to remove the structure of the old program. For example, let's take jealousy. This is generally an old energy. The old program that does not work in the indicators of the fourth matrix, it does not work. And they can, for example, keep hammering you with this energy, directly highlighting it to you through people saying, remove this, remove that, this doesn't work, remove, remove, remove. Because we are being guided in a new way in everything, including in relationships. Relationships will now be completely different. They will not be based on the indicators of the first energy center, sexual energy, as they were structured in the third field. Well, that's how it is structured there. In the fourth field, there is a higher censorship. This is a working structure. Everything comes from here. And well, I just want to mention this again because many people are actually complaining right now that they cannot achieve partnership indicators after the transition. I will explain why. Because, as our star friend said, it will no longer be done haphazardly. As they mentioned, it was in the third field. As long as each of you does not reach a quality state, meaning this quality partnership, quality relationships in everything, there will be indicators of love, trust, freedom, and ease without any jealousy or control. There will be complete trust, harmony, and balance. This is the system of relationships of a new format, but this also needs to be achieved. I added this because many people actually complain that there is no assembly on partnership. But this is precisely related to that. And the most interesting thing is that the higher your level, of course, the higher your quality. Naturally, a partner of the same quality will be attracted to you, but it will no longer come in a partnership way. It will no longer come in a partnership way. We worked off karma in the third field. We do not work off karma in the fourth field. We focus on quality in all indicators. Partnership is also a quality. Finances are a quality. A mortgage is a quality. Everything is quality. For example, if you took out a mortgage or some kind of loan in the third matrix, it becomes fear for you. A mortgage is fear because you are working for the mortgage.
Yes, now it is a tool.
Right now, yes, this is a tool that is given to you for your quality of life. That's it. A colossal difference.
Consciousness has changed, indeed, relationships changed.
There is just a colossal difference in the work of the programs. Other programs.
Allah, thank you. I have one final question left. Perhaps you could give some recommendations on how to raise my vibrations? Because you already mentioned meat, and we just received transmissions from civilizations, maybe a few more points, literally. 2 to 3.
Well, you know, the fastest way to raise your vibration, the very fastest, is through the prayer of words. As you read the prayer, Mother of God, rejoice, your vibrations immediately begin to rise. This is if you need it very quickly, as a tool for such a rapid increase in vibrational activation. So, of course, these are indicators of the structure of certain meditations, immersing oneself in one's own inner world. For someone, this could be a tool like mantras, because when you listen to these sound parameters, your vibrations increase. Right now, we are sitting together, I am speaking in a galactic language, and your vibrations are increasing because you are present within the parameters of my field. The galactic language is an elevation of vibrations. It indicates visits to certain power places, meaning it is a connection with nature. You can even simply go outside and walk on the grass with your bare feet. And actively, for example, channel energy into the first energy center. Your vibrations will increase. Or, for instance, learn to communicate with nature through the energy of the earth. You can approach. This is also energy. Trees are also souls. You can approach and activate yourself. For example, you approach a tree and say, you pronounce your details. First name, patronymic, last name, where you are located, your date of birth, and say, I ask to activate the system, for instance, for my filling. Approach the tree, you will feel it, and it will give you this structure of energy. The same can be done with the earth. You can connect through your palms or through your feet. Stand up and breathe through each chakra center. Your vibration is starting to rise. This is actually a very fast form as well. That is, there are many such tools. For example, I have this tool, which is provided by my curators. It's a chronicle system, for instance. You create a chronicle, 2 pages long, and your vibrations increase. Here, each person determines for themselves what resonates with their soul and what suits them best. There are no strict forms right now like this is good, this is bad, this is allowed or not allowed. Be free in your expressions. If I feel drawn to something, if it resonates with me, if my soul rejoices, I take that tool and I apply it. For some, it is prayer. For others, it is visiting a temple. Contact, for example, with the relics of the saints as well. Your vibrations will grow very powerful overall, because when I visited De Vivo, I had 10-200 in all parameters. I felt it, that power and strength, and I saw how my event sequences began to align with this vibration. For example, My maximum went into the fourth matrix. And here everyone chooses for themselves what they want. But there are quite a few, I would say, quick ways. Let's say that prayer raises the vibration by approximately 70 megahertz. Thank you. Thank you. In one breath. It was interesting. In fact, there is a lot to tell, a lot of information. I probably didn't even cover half of what there is.
I understand very much. Unfortunately, our airtime is limited.
Yes, indeed. Thank you very much.
Subscribe to Allah's Telegram. There will be even more recommendations there. You also have live broadcasts, right? As far as I know.
Yes, of course, both live broadcasts and various practices.
You will be able to ask questions in the comments and also take the courses.